I invite on stage Mr. Ravinder Singh Negi, past chairman of IFMA and managing director and CEO, Orient Electric Limited. Mr. Promeet Ghosh, managing director, Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals Limited. I request everybody to kindly take your seats, please. We already have our distinguished speakers on the stage.
Thank you, Promeet, for joining us. And, while we have this little fireside chat, but I thought, everybody knows Promeet really well. The leader, Crompton as a brand, and they're so big that if Promeet sneezes, the industry catches cold. So keep the best of the health. So before we start, I just want to talk about some of the data points, and I think that'll get everybody's attention. The conversation that you and I have to do is around building competitiveness for global footprint. Let me just put some data points on global footprints. And India does about 20,000 export shipments every year of ceiling fans. China does about 20 times more. India does about 8,000 shipments of TPW. China does 50 times more. We do, while intrinsically, we are very proud to be Make in India, but if we look at our exports, as an industry, we do about $70 million worth of exports. China does about 6 billion. Even countries like Vietnam, which are catching up, they do about 35, 40 million. You look at some of the markets where we've not, and right now, given all the US-India tariffs, we will not be able to think of it, but give you a little context, China's export to US is about 2 billion. And if you can guess, our exports to US is about 2 million. That's the whole opportunity which is available to all of us to create a global footprint. We do about 5%, less than 5% of the industry as exports. China does almost 30% of their manufacturing as exports. I think it's the approach that we all take forward, and as an industry, when we have to grow, think of global competitiveness, we need to think differently. Do we make what is intrinsically for Indian consumers, or do we change our lens and say, let's look at global consumers? And I think in that context, Promeet, let me just start by putting some real thoughts, and we can have a conversation around this. When we speak of the new era of fans in the industry, what fundamental shifts do you think are transforming our sector? And how can we be more competitive to secure a future business opportunities for the industry? Your thoughts?
Well, thank you so much, Ravi, for inviting me for this. As you all know, I'm a complete newbie in the industry. As I was hearing the discussion earlier, many of your experiences runs into multiple decades. I'm all of 2.5 years old in the industry, so you will forgive me for not knowing nearly as much or having as much of an insight as all of you have. I do have a perspective, and I'm happy to share that. What are the things that are changing in our industry? Fundamentally, one thing is changing in our industry, which is that we are beginning to now realize that we are in a world in which fans are important, right? So, historically, this has not been the case. They were important in India, but the rest of the world, most of the developed world, which happened to be in the cooler parts of the world, didn't particularly think that fans are important, right? They're beginning to realize with climate change that you do need fans. Now that means both earlier, it meant having TPW fans, personal fans, increasingly, which were products that you use when there was a particular period of warmth, right? So you suddenly felt that the AC in the room didn't service the corner that you were sitting in, you put up a personal fan. No longer, because if it's going to be warmer for longer, then you do need a ceiling fan, right? And therefore, at least the way that we look at the market is that global warming is making fans a much more essential part of people's homes going forward. The second thing that's happening is that, I think we are beginning to realize that fans are one rare industry where India is a global leader. Right? How many industries, and I'm talking particularly about ceiling fans, how many industries can you go up and say that India has numbers which rival any market in the world? So, by the way, as you said, in China, the numbers are very large, but most of those numbers actually are for TPW fans and not for ceiling fans. So if you strip that out, the number of fans that China makes, according to us, according to some research we've done, is not that different, in fact smaller than what India produces for its own market. So on one hand, how many businesses do we have in India in which the numbers are similar to China and much, much larger than anywhere else in the world? Frankly, I can only think of two-wheeler industry as one. So, really, in a world in which is evolving towards a China plus one strategy, hiccups notwithstanding, the fact that we have the size, that the world is looking for alternate manufacturers, and that they need more fans in the world, a lot has changed over the last several years, and frankly, it's up to us to grab that opportunity.
No, wonderful, Promeet, and thank you for taking your time out. Last few words from him are essentially saying, let's be nimble, let's be optimistic. I think there'll be good patches, there'll be tough patches. We all have gone through some tough summer season, but I can only say future is bright, and I won't say future is orange, but yeah, future is bright, and let's have there are green shoots, and I think what the government has done right now in terms of GST, it will put more purchasing power, more disposable income, more than anything, a real good positive sentiment around a festive time. That should pick it up. Star ratcheting in ceiling fans is coming, and I would say let's be compliant, let's follow it, let's take the learnings of last time when we first time graduated to star rating, and let's all work together as an industry to make sure there is growth that happens, and all of us can then have our respective market shares growing up, but the growth has to be secular for all of us. So thank you, Promeet, for coming down and sharing your thoughts with the industry, and thank you everyone for giving us this time.